Fellas, today we'll be diving deep into the world of drugs. So deep that you might even overdose watching this video. I'm sure you've all heard of fentanyl, especially with all the silly videos of people tweaking on that stuff. What most people don't know is that it can be related to morphine, which is a pain relief and euphoria drug. The difference being that fentanyl is 100 times more potent than morphine and takes significantly less to overdose on it. Meet his older brother, carfentanil, which is 10,000 times more potent than morphine and 100 times more potent than fentanyl. He's basically like a really big guy who's gonna steal all your money and beat you up. Except his method of beating you up is some large, soft kisses. Not that it's a good thing though, because overdosing on fentanyl can cause very clammy skin. Some other effects include changes in pupil size, respiratory failure, and stupor, whatever. It's bad, don't do it. This is literally how much it takes to kill you. Anyways, next drug, dihydrodesoxymorphine-D, otherwise known as desomorphine, otherwise known as crocodile. Let me show you why it's called crocodile. Here's how a regular person looks, and here's how a person looks after they take crocodile. Crocodile is a light brown liquid with its typical subjects being Russians. Hello, it is me, Crocodile Russian man. Thanks, Russian guy. Russian guy here is gonna show us exactly what happens when you inject crocodile. First, he'll start to show a great variety of serious symptoms. Those including thrombophlebitis, ulcerations, gangrene, and necrosis, eventually making his skin look like scales from a crocodile, hence the name crocodile. Over time, the same way a real crocodile will start eating away at your skin, the drug crocodile will eventually start doing the same. Generally, there is no exact measurement for how much is a lethal dose, but it's practically about 75 to 375 milligrams of croc is enough for a fatality. Finish him.
Fatality.
See this bone? The tissue damage can be so severe that you could eventually start seeing bone. Don't take this drug, or you'll end up looking like this guy. Some of you might not remember this next drug, but it actually became available in the US in 2013, and it's the closest drug we've had to causing a zombie apocalypse. It even has the nickname zombie drug. I'll give you 10 seconds to guess what it's called. Flakka. Flakka is like bath salt's cousin, and it's typically white or pink in color, and usually comes in the form of a crystal. For those of you who use a salt grinder, try not to keep it around your crazy uncle, cause he could easily slip in some flakka. 1 second you think you'll have a nice dinner, but the next second, ya donezo. Most people who have been seen taking this drug usually end up being really aggressive, and may end up beating other people and beating themselves. If you're planning on taking this drug, fuck you. At least take it while being featured in an episode of The Walking Dead, but definitely don't do it. It's not worth it. Next up is the Gray Death. It's almost like the Black Plague, except one is gonna kill you and the other one is gonna kill you. Whatever this blob of gray is, started in 2017 after it started popping up in Alabama, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and other states. In case it isn't obvious, typically people who take this drug end up dead later on, and it would literally take a miracle to bring them back, and that miracle is naloxone. Naloxone is an ingredient in Narcan, and Narcan basically reverses everything. The way it does this is after taking a dose of Narcan, the opioids in Narcan basically travel to your brain receptors and removes the drugs from your brain receptors by replacing them with itself, completely getting rid of the drugs that were in your system after about 2 to 3 minutes. Narcan might result in people trying to box you after they wake up, So if you're saving somebody's life with Narcan, put on some gloves and be ready to box, cause they're gonna come out swinging. As amazing as Narcan can be, the Gray Death is so strong. Typically reversing a Gray Death may require multiple doses of naloxone, which compared to a high purity heroin overdose, it would only take one. Let me introduce you to the Narcan party. Here's how it usually goes. Everyone shows up to the function with their little Gray Death baggies. People start taking the Gray Death one by one, and the last person to take some Gray Death calls 911, and then they themselves start to overdose on some Gray Death too. And then basically the cops have to show up and save everyone. And the reason they do this, they're basically all overdosing as much as they can, just so they can get a good high and not really risk dying, cause then help is gonna be on the way. And I was saying a good high very lightly. Gray Death is literally a mix of heroin, fentanyl, carfentanil, and U-47700, which is also known as pink heroin, which is basically heroin, but for gays. And you should note that this drug isn't labeled with a specific dose that you have to take for it to be a lethal dose, because it already is a lethal dose. So, don't take it. Last drug. Scopolamine is used as a date drug. You might know this drug as devil's breath, and I'm gonna have to censor that word out, but it rhymes with vape. Generally, scopolamine isn't even that harmful. It's more commonly used among pirates, and it's a patch that you place behind your ear. You should literally only be using it if you're gonna prevent nausea and vomiting that's caused by motion sickness. When scopolamine is abused, some side effects are skin rash, swelling of the face, and an irregular heartbeat. So if your heart sounds like it's beatboxing, that's normal. Some people might slip it into other people's drinks. Administering this drug through the mouth can cause extreme suggestibility, memory loss, and loss of contact with reality. Surely you see why this is a disgusting drug. At least there's no drug called devil's balls. I can only imagine what something like that would do to you. Anyways, that's all for today. Don't do drugs. Drink your milk. Ka-chow.
Like a sub.